We're following a manhunt that is going on as we speak in Tennessee. I want you to get a good look at this guy. His name is Austin Robert Drummond, and he's wanted in connection to the killings of 4 people. Law enforcement says he is armed and dangerous. He's accused of killing these 4 family members this week. Their bodies were found 45 minutes north, hours after police found this baby alive, but abandoned, still in their car seat, left on the front lawn of a stranger's home alone. We're on the case, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Chris Stewart. We are following a developing story right now in Western Tennessee related to a mystery that has been unfolding in that state this week. As we speak, there's a manhunt for the man you see right here. His name is Austin Robert Drummond, and the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation put these pictures out in just the last few hours, and they also say he is now on Tennessee's most wanted list. Drummond is 28 years old. He stands 5'10", weighs roughly 190 pounds, has brown hair, blue eyes, and a goatee. But law enforcement says it's important to note that his appearance may have been altered, especially since his picture is now being plastered everywhere. Here's a picture of the vehicle that investigators say he may be driving. This is a 2016 white Audi. It has Tennessee plates with the number RI01896. Drummond does claim to be from Rhode Island, but these, according to law enforcement, are plates from Tennessee. He also now hails from Jackson, Tennessee, according to his Facebook page, which is an hour away from where this baby was found. And I'll get more into that in just a moment. He is considered armed and dangerous. Investigators say they have warrants charging him with 4 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of aggravated kidnapping, 4 counts of possession of a firearm, and 1 count of possession of a firearm during the commission of a dangerous felony. And we're learning more about his connection, potentially to the victims. I'll tell you that in just a moment, but here's what he is accused of doing. On Tuesday in Dyer County, Tennessee, which is about an hour and a half from Memphis, police found this 7-month-old baby in the front yard of a stranger's house. Now, because of the rules of YouTube, we have to blur the baby's face because she's been found alive. And that is good news in what is a very tragic and disturbing story. Dyers County Sheriff's deputies say a dark-colored minivan or a white mid-sized SUV was reported to have dropped the infant off still in their car seat in the front yard of the house. This was around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Then, fast forward a couple hours later, we're at 8 o'clock at night, 45 minutes north in Lake County, Tennessee. Police found the bodies of these 4 people. Their names are Courtney Rose, Matthew Wilson, Adriana Williams, and Braden Williams. Braden, who you see in the bottom right, was just 15 years old, and he was the uncle of the baby found in the front yard. Here's a picture of Courtney Rose. The 38-year-old was the maternal grandmother of the baby found abandoned. The baby's mom was 20-year-old Adriana Williams, who you see here holding the baby at the hospital when she was a newborn. The baby's dad was Matthew Wilson, and here are pictures of the 21-year-old in the hospital from when the baby was born. At this point, investigators have not said the cause of death for the 4 family members, but again, this is who they say is responsible, Austin Drummond. As far as Drummond's connection to this group, we did notice on Facebook he is friends with Adriana Williams. That's the 20-year-old mom of the baby. And we're also learning that Drummond may be more than just a social media follow. Burton Staggs is a journalist. He's been on Law&Crime, and he's been covering this story on the ground in Western Tennessee. And here's what he is reporting as the connection that Drummond has to the people who he allegedly killed.
His relationship to the deceased is that he is the significant other, former significant other of the grandmother who is deceased in this case, sister.
So it appears that Drummond was known to this family in some capacity. Drummond, according to police, is a felon. Now, we found this document on Tennessee's court's website that says that Drummond was convicted of aggravated battery for a robbery at a convenience store, and he was sentenced to 10 years in prison. This was back in 2014. The document states that the robbery happened in 2013. Drummond entered the convenience store in Madison County, Tennessee, walked behind the counter and pointed a pistol at the clerk and said, quote, "Open the drawer. I'm not expletive playing with you. Open the drawer." Now, the clerk testified that she, understandably so, was afraid for her life. Drummond got away that night, taking all the cash out of the register, but get this, he got away with only $44. That's it. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison. So if he served the full length of that sentence, he would have gotten out of prison just last year. Before we get back to this episode of On the Case, I need to take a moment and talk to you about our partners at Morgan & Morgan. This is America's largest injury law firm. They have more than 1,000 attorneys and they win a lot. They've recovered over $25 billion from more than 500,000 clients. In just the past few months, a client in Florida received $12 million after the insurance company offered just $350,000. In Pennsylvania, a client was awarded $26 million. That was 40 times the insurer's $650,000 offer. And another client in PA got $29 million after being offered only $500,000. So even if you don't think your case is worth millions of dollars, why not fight for what you deserve? Morgan & Morgan makes it so easy to file a claim. You can do it with just 8 easy clicks on your phone. So if you've been injured, you need to start a claim, go to www.forthepeople.com/OTC. Also, you can scan this QR code on your screen or click the link below. According to his Facebook page, Drummond served the full stint in prison because in September of last year, he posted first week out with pictures with people who appear to be his parents outside the gates of a prison. The brief states that Drummond tried to appeal his conviction, but the state upheld it. Once again, his picture on your screen. Anyone with information on where Austin Drummond is right now, contact the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, the number 1-800-TBI-FIND, F-I-N-D. And once again, he is considered armed and dangerous. Joining me now is retired Detective Commander Will Svilar of the Chicago Police Department. Thank you for taking the time to be with us. I know this is a very, very much a developing story and scary situation out of Tennessee. Austin Drummond is the suspect who they're looking for. He's armed and dangerous. How do you catch him?
You catch him by using every possible resource you have, be it social media, your web page, network news, billboards on the side of the expressway, like we do Amber Alerts, the alerts over your cell phones when you hit severe weather alerts or an Amber Alert will come over your phone, your cell phone carriers, any bit of information and technology you have, you get it out there.
And looking at his background, he served 10 years in prison, got out September of 2024. That was related to an aggravated robbery. He held up a convenience store in Madison County, Tennessee. Now he is accused and going to be charged based on the warrants that we know with 4 counts of first-degree murder. How does that factor into this search?
Oh, it's huge. You're talking about a guy that's been in for 10 years. He's already done a dime, so he knows what prison's like. Probably doesn't want to go back, and he's killed 4 people. And that's also part of the reason why he doesn't want to go back, because he doesn't want any witnesses. He doesn't want anybody to tell him to say he did it. So he kills 4 people. He spares the baby because the baby can't identify him, and he may have a shred of decency. I can't say decency. He may have a shred of conscience that lets him let the baby live. But you got to get that information out to the public and to law enforcement that he is armed and dangerous. He has done this, and he's been in prison already. So you have to get that information out there as fast as you can and as widely spread as you can.
Because for those who follow true crime this week, or if you follow the news because it's just been headline news everywhere, you have the case out of Arkansas of the suspect who murdered the parents who were just on a hike with their 2 daughters, Devil's Den State Park. But in that case, that investigation, and of course he's just accused, but in that investigation, they kept a lot of things, the Arkansas State Police, close to the chest. They were openly telling people, if you think you have evidence, don't share it on social media. Last night in the news conference, they were very open with saying that they did not want to have this suspect think that they were onto him. In this case out of Tennessee, they are putting his face right out there. We know the car, this 2016 white Audi, his license plate. We're learning a lot about his background to an extent. What do you make of the decision to take that route in this search?
There's two train of thoughts on this. When you don't know who you're looking for, who they are that you're looking for, or even if you know who you're looking for, but you don't have the information to get a warrant, you don't have enough probable cause to get a warrant and to actually seek this person out by name. In cases like that, sometimes you don't want to give too much information. You don't want to say everything you know. And this is, again, not trying to keep anything from the public, because public safety is obviously the main thing that we're worried about here. But in a case like uh, this one in Tennessee, whatever evidence they have plenty. This is a bad person, and you got to get him off the street.
Yeah, and he is, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation putting his name out says that we have warrants for his arrest, 4 counts of first-degree murder, the aggravated kidnapping that's related to the baby that was found 45 minutes south of the bodies, still alive in the car seat. We'll talk about that in just a moment. And also, we did learn through those charges that this was a shooting, because the cause of death hasn't been released and there wasn't a lot of details, but he is accused of using a firearm as a felon. What does that tell you about the information police have with them, knowing that they are putting those charges out there to the public right now?
Well, if they have those charges and the warrant was approved by a judge, like you said, he's charged. He's charged with those counts through the warrant. So they have the physical evidence that they need, and they have circumstantial evidence or whatever evidence they have. But they have strong enough physical evidence to say, like you said, this is an armed offender. A weapon was used. Weapon may or not have been recovered from the scene. So he may still have the weapon with him. Like, if you don't find a gun that matches that caliber on the scene, it doesn't mean that he still has the gun or he didn't dispose of it. But if you don't recover that gun on the scene, you've got to assume that he's armed and dangerous. And also, this is Tennessee. I'm sure you can have access to plenty of weapons down there. It's more. I don't want to say more so than Chicago, because we have more guns than anybody. But the evidence is there. You know he's an armed offender. You get that information out.
These murders happened based on the timeline we know from authorities. This baby was found around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, then 45 minutes north, 8 o'clock at night. This was on Tuesday. These 4 bodies were found. If he's been on the run for that long and he's been driving, and who knows how soon law enforcement got an idea that the Audi was what they were looking for, that he was the person that they were looking for. He could be anywhere. He could be in Chicago, could be in Atlanta. How do you, as law enforcement, not just in Tennessee, but keep your eyes open for this story and knowing that it's happening, even if you're not in the state that's running the investigation?
You get it out there on the wire. You get it into leads. That's how we communicate to every agency in the country. We use leads, and leads, we can broadcast all that information on a leads message that's law enforcement sensitive, that every agency can get. So to spread it out into law enforcement, you put it into leads. Somebody even a small agency with 2 people, they read this, they get it out to their people. Hey, if you see this, this is what he did. Be ready. Be careful. So they have a guarantee it's in leads.
Because it's well past, at this point, I believe, right? We're past 48 hours on this, coming up on it at least. If he's been, where could he be? If you're kind of thinking in your mind of like where we would need to look if you're on this case, with that amount of time of a head start in some ways, where could he be?
Well, he could be anywhere. Like you said, in 48 hours, you can get from one coast to the next if you drive straight through. He could be in Florida. He could be in North Dakota. He could be in California. What would be interesting to know is, can they track him? Is there something in that Audi, depending on the year, you can track the location of a vehicle based on the computer in the car, based on the car too. I'm not sure if this 16 Audi has that, but we've used it in the past where it's basically a black box inside of a car where we've tracked movements of a vehicle. Can they do that? Does he have a cell phone? Can we triangulate his cell phone? Can we ping towers to see which direction he's moving? Could we have done that initially? Can we see on any cameras, red light cameras or anything like that, a direction of flight? What's the direction that he moves from the murder scene to where we find the baby? He's moving south, I think, in this case, right? South from where the bodies were discovered. So it's just it's something that you can use. It's something that you can use to try to plot a direction that this person's moving.
Because I also think of like an Audi, it's not a massive gas tank. And if he was using a credit card, you would know where the gas station where it would be. And then if you pay in cash, you're going to have to go inside the convenience store likely and then be on camera. So and so that's kind of the radius. I mean, you're the investigator, not me, but it's like, as I kind of piece it together, like that could be something that could help.
Excellent points. And I don't know of any gas stations, maybe somewhere in really rural areas, but I don't know of many gas stations that don't have a camera on the cashier.
Right.
Or in the parking lot of the gas station, no matter where you are. So you're right. The car doesn't run on water. So, and you don't know did he take money from the people? Did he take one of their credit cards? Can we track him through the use of one of the deceased credit cards? These are all things that I guarantee you these investigators are looking into.
This story, when I first read it, it was just a lot. I mean, you had to read through the article a couple of times because there was just so many moving parts. And this was before we learned about Austin Drummond, the suspect who is, I keep checking my phone. He's still on the run right now. But, it starts with the baby in the front yard of the house. And then these 4 bodies are found later that day. I know before we were talking a little bit about the car seat aspect to this story too. What does that tell you if you were an investigator, that car seat part of it, how that could factor into figuring out what took place?
Well, I'd have to know what kind of car seat it was. Like you and I, we have children. Well, you know how hard it is to put a car seat in a car. You put your knee in there, you got to get the seat belt in there and all that stuff. But they also have those ones that the base is in the car and you just snap the carrier in and then you can take the baby with you. He's not putting a car seat in a car he's fleeing in unless the car's already got it. Again, I don't know whose car this is. I don't know who it registers to. And we also don't know, maybe these people show up in this car while he's doing the other thing. We don't know who was killed first. But I don't think he's going to take his time to put a baby in a car seat. And who knows, the baby could have been sitting in a carrier all the time. Because when my babies were small, we would take the car. If the baby was sleeping, the baby stayed in that car seat in that carrier until the baby woke up. You don't wake him up unless you have to. So maybe he picks it up and puts it in the Audi without being in a base. Picks the baby up, puts it in the Audi, drives away. Or maybe the Audi is how the baby got there. So these are all things that they know. The Tennessee people know these things. And I guarantee you they're using them.
What are the conversations like internally before you go to the public with information? Like, is there a debate inside the room about, hey, I think that we need to put his face out there, and then you'll have people in there saying like, I don't think it's going to cause widespread panic if we do that. What are those conversations like when you're deciding about what information you want in the public and what information you want to keep close to the vest?
Do the ends justify the means? In other words, do we risk? In the case in this Tennessee thing, it sounds like they have this guy dead bang. You have to get that information out because if he killed 4, he's going to kill more. It's not like you're worried about him fleeing. He already is fleeing because the information we got is only a couple hours old with his name and all that stuff, right? So now we've got since Tuesday until a couple hours ago, he makes a lot of distance in that time, or maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's still just really close by. But you wait, you sit in those rooms and you talk to the investigators and you talk to the prosecutors and you say, hey, will it help us to get his name out? Or will it hurt us to get his name out? Especially if you know it. But when the warrants are in place, at that point, you put the information out.
And I mean, we've just been talking about how dangerous this suspect is because of the fact that, if and when he is arrested or whenever this chase comes to an end, like he is not going to be living as a free person if he's guilty of what he's accused of doing. I think there's a police officer in some community somewhere that may get an alert, and it might just be a regular patrolman who's, not, with the TBI and has been on this case, and they get the call, like, here's the Audi. What is that moment like to be that police officer and how dangerous the person is who you need to go arrest?
Well, in situations like that, your training will kick in. I mean, your adrenaline, you get super high and your adrenaline, and I don't want to say high, that's a crazy word, but you get almost razor sharp on your adrenaline. And when your adrenaline kicks in, it goes back to training. So we're all trained on felony vehicle stops. The problem with that is what if you're by yourself? Do you try to take this person by yourself? That's up to the individual. It's not advisable. You always want to have somebody with you. But again, it's important that these officers have this information because You could be a deputy sheriff, a constable, a police officer, anybody out there every single day. We encounter cars that go through stop signs, red lights, or whatever. Do we know why that person went through a red light? When we approach that vehicle, do we know whether or not this person killed 4 people 4 counties over, or they just simply committed a traffic violation? So you have to prepare yourself individually every single stop you make, every call you go on, every situation. You have to be prepared that it's going to go south. And that's not easy to do all the time.
I think of, taking 4 lives, which is what he's accused of doing with a gun. There's still so much we don't know, but I think about, the final moments there and what happened. How do you piece together the narrative of how these murders happened, allegedly by this suspect who's on the run?
It's a big puzzle, Chris. You have all these pieces that you have to put together. In this particular case, our priority is getting this guy off the street. The rest of that stuff will keep. As long as you preserve your crime scene, you collect your evidence properly, you conduct your interviews properly, that can keep. That can keep till time of trial when you have to tender discovery to the defense. It takes a long time to get all that stuff together so it's ready for a good trial. In this case, we want this guy first. We'll put the case together using forensics and our interviews and our investigative techniques as we prepare for trial. So there's a lot of things that go into it. Once you get this guy, you're not in an all-fire hurry to get all this stuff put together for a trial. You got plenty of time.
All right, well, Svilar, it's always great to have you on Law and Crime, retired detective commander with the Chicago Police Department. We'll see how this manhunt plays out. A very scary situation in Tennessee. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
We'll continue to follow this story as it develops. For On the Case, presented by Law and Crime, I'm Chris Stewart. Subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify. We'll see you next time.